Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Hi guys, and welcome to our first Fool of the Week for 2024. Now, it was a difficult choice, but it had to be the Chairman of NatWest, Sir Howard Davies. The banker was on BBC Radio 4, where he was asked when he believes it will be easier for people to get on the property ladder and buy a house. Remember, this is not some guy down the pub or some Tory backbencher. This is the Chairman of NatWest Bank plc. Have a listen to his response.
When do you think it's going to be easier for people to get on the property ladder in this country?
Well, I don't think it's that difficult at the moment, but
to buy a house in this country? Are we living in the same country, or are you reporting from overseas?
You have to save, and that's the way it always used to be. We went through
but the multiple of average earnings that you require. Sorry to interrupt. The multiple of average earnings you require to get a house. I mean, I'm just thinking if our listeners under the age of 40 would say, "Have you tried buying a house in a major city in this country?"
Yes, undoubtedly. But what we saw in the financial crisis was the risk of having people being able to borrow 100% in order to get onto the property ladder, and then suffering severe falls in the equity value of their houses and having to leave and having a bad credit record, etc. So there were dangers in very, very easy access to mortgage credit. So I totally recognise that there are people who find it very difficult to start the process. They will have to save more, but that is, I think, inherent in the change in the financial system as a result of the mistakes that were made in the last global financial crisis, and we have to accept we're still living with that.
My goodness, okay, it's not that difficult to buy a house if you're the chairman of a bank. Okay, let's park that for a moment. Now, he didn't focus on the real problem. He focused on part of the problem. What I mean by that is, yes, access to finance is a problem. And back during the financial crisis, it was easier for people to access finance. And in many cases, this resulted in foreclosure because people were not able to pay their mortgages. People were not able to pay for their homes, and they were foreclosed and they lost their homes. Yes, that was part of the problem. But that's not really the problem today. The problem is that people can't buy homes because they're too frigging expensive. It's not so much about access to finance. That is a problem. The problem is houses are too expensive. So giving people more access to finance will not really resolve that problem, because then they'll be loaded up with massive amounts of debt that they won't be able to pay back. And you don't want to go down the road of Japan, where you have debt transferred from generation to generation. Mortgages, 100-year mortgages where the grandparents take it out and the grandchildren pay it off. You don't want a system like that. What needs to happen is you need to build more homes, and then this will bring down the price of houses. But telling people you need to save more doesn't make sense, because if house prices are continuing to increase and people are saving up for a mortgage, they're putting a bit aside so they can put down a deposit on a mortgage on a home. Well, if the house prices continue to rise, everything that they save will get smaller, or they're going to have to save more in order to compensate for the rise in the house prices. This is, a catch-22. You're trying to save more in order to have enough put aside, but the house price is increasing all the time as well. So you're constantly playing catch-up. But people are not able to do that also because of the cost of living crisis, because inflation is eating into people's wages. People are paying more for things, so they're in a difficult situation to put money aside. In many cases, they're not able to put money aside. They've just abandoned the whole idea of getting on the property ladder, of owning their own home. So talking about changes to the financial regulations isn't going to really make any difference. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated, and I'll see you next time for our next Fool of the Week.